It's what you do most of the time that gives the body its benefit or its detriment. It's what you do most of the time. I was noticing at 36 years old, my hair was starting to turn gray. I was starting to get wrinkles. I was losing my desire to work and my energy level. My doctor, my holistic doctor, said it best. He said, Carol, you're the accumulation of everything you do to your body. That means everything that you put in and on your body at some point shows on your face. This was a gift you were given. Health is a gift.
Ooh, that's a great way to think about this.
Right. And you need to take care of that gift. You give the body what it needs, and you can rebuild yourself.
There are so many food and diet trends out there right now. It's actually quite dizzying, even for me. You hear about keto, vegan, gluten-free, paleo, anti-inflammatory. Which one are we supposed to do? Now, while I've always talked about personalizing diet recommendations to you, here's something that we are not talking very much about nowadays. It's the raw food diet. And to help educate us and learn more, I've brought on Carol Alt. That's right, you heard me correctly. Carol Alt, the swimsuit Sports Illustrated magazine cover. She's graced so many magazines over the years. She's a renowned supermodel, and she's been dubbed the face by the fashion industry. Since her days as the world's most renowned supermodel, Carol has gone on to be a multi-award-winning actor, a successful entrepreneur, a best-selling author on raw food and nutrition, and the host of A Healthy You and Carol Alt on the Fox News channel. Please welcome Carol to Whole Plus. All right, Carol Alt is on my show. So hard to believe I'm having a pinch me moment. I have watched and followed you for such a long time and have really admired you for multiple reasons. Not, of course, just because of the gorgeous beauty that you are, but you've always sort of advocated and talked about holistic health in different ways, right? Whether it was your diet or how you took care of yourself. I am so curious in today's landscape where there's probably every procedure available to everybody at every age.
It didn't take you long to get into that, Dr.
Every
Taz.
single age. Even my 17-year-old is like, do I need this? And I'm like, please stop. What is your definition of holistic beauty, and what would you tell women today?
I try to tell women today that your beauty starts at a young age. At your 20s and 30s, it's really important what you eat, how you nutrition your body, what you put on your skin, what you wash your hair with. My holistic doctor said it best. He said, Carol, you're the accumulation of everything you do to your body. That means everything that you put in and on your body at some point shows on your face. And for me, that was in my 60s. All of a sudden, your 60s, you start going like, okay, what do I need to adjust in order to tighten my skin back up and give me back my energy? And that's a big one with all my girlfriends is energy.
Energy is the big thing they complain about. But, I just caught you on something. You said it took you till 60 to notice anything.
Yeah.
The majority of my patients and women I meet today,
40s.
40.
Yeah.
So that's a 20-year sort of
I've been raw.
differential. So
I've been raw for 36 years.
So I want to talk about that. We're going to go right there. So, I've read that about you, I think, for years, about that, how you've been raw and you chose to go raw. I want to learn more about that. That's sort of when we look at Ayurveda or we look at other systems of medicine, they have opinions on being raw, right? Yeah. So talk to us about your choice to go raw, how that evolved, and, how do you do it? That's another question, and we'll go from there.
Okay, well, first of all, my decision to go raw wasn't just, I pulled it out of the sky and said, I feel I should do this. I studied, I spoke with doctors, and I found what was right for me and for my body. I was what we call a very acid system. I was very high-strung, A-type personality, and some people call it parasympathetic strong, some people call it parasympathetic, weak, but that's how they decide what they do and how they eat. And for me, I was noticing at 36 years old, my hair was starting to turn gray. I was starting to get wrinkles. I was losing my desire to work and my energy level. And, truthfully, it sounds so crazy, but it's part of holistic medicine. I went more spiritual. I prayed on it. And one day, out of the blue, in the middle of praying, I got a phone call from a friend of mine who said, you need to speak with this doctor. He's going to change your mind and on how you look at food. And his name was Dr. Timothy Brantley. He wrote the book called The Cure, The Brantley Cure. And it was 15 weeks New York Times bestseller
Amazing.
list. And he's my guru. And at first I resisted, and then I said, what am I doing? I tried every stupid, ridiculous diet out there, and nothing worked for me. And when I spoke with the doctor, he just made total and complete sense. It was like the universe opened up, and I just knew that this information that I was getting was something that was going to change my life.
So you're 36 years old. You're struggling with graying early, energy.
But I had more health issues than that. I mean, I had a candide blood infection, which I didn't know about, and a doctor here told me it was a poison sumac. It turned out to be candide in my blood. Dr. Timothy diagnosed me right over the phone. He said, I'm surprised you don't have this, and this. Sinus infection, colds and flu after every movie. I would be working 3 or 4 months on a movie, boom, down for 2 weeks, back up to do a movie again.
Oh, wow.
It was a really bad routine. And, I tried everything, too, to stay thin, because in the modeling industry,
Right.
I was 5'11" and 115 pounds. And at the cover of Sports Illustrated, I was 115 pounds. And, that does something to your body. Yo-yo dieting in itself, all these crazy things
Trends,
people do
yep.
to lose weight, they all wreak havoc on your body. And what I found was raw food was kind of nirvana. It was the garden of eating. I could eat and not feel guilty and not have that fat thigh feeling,
Right,
when you go,
right, right.
oh, I
yes.
just feel like, what did I just eat?
Yeah.
And I just knew if I stayed on this road that this was the right road, because it's the closer you eat to God.
So this is almost spiritual.
It's all spiritual. I mean, it's all spiritual.
Wow.
It's how you take care of this temple, this gift that you were given. I see people beat themselves up with alcohol and drugs and cigarettes and staying out all night and doing all kinds of crazy things, and they have total disrespect for their health. And then when they become unhealthy or diseased, they go, why? Why, God?
Yeah.
Why did you do this? And
Right.
it's like, not why, God. It's like, this was a gift. This was a gift you were given. Health is a gift.
Ooh, that's a great way to think about this.
Right. And you need to take care of that gift. And you need to be appreciative and grateful of that gift. And only when you lose that do you start becoming grateful for all the small little things. I always like to say to women, listen, you could have all the Versaces you want in your closet, but if you're too sick to wear them, who cares?
Who cares? Right.
If you're too sick to enjoy them, if you're not happy because hanging over your head every day is this hammer about to hit your anvil because you're waiting for a diagnosis or whatever. And one of my other doctors said it's not, and it's not if, Carol, it's when. It's when it happens to people because we don't take care of ourselves. It's really, really important. And raw food was so easy. Like, everybody thinks it's so difficult. It was the easiest thing I ever did. Try not eating.
I want to learn more about this, because I am absolutely fascinated with this. But before we go there, for young women listening to our show today, what were the 3 biggest mistakes that you made prior to 36 when it came to trying to lose weight, assuming something was healthy, or just even your own self-care? What were some of the biggest pitfalls and mistakes that you made?
I think
when you
there's
look back?
one big mistake, and that big mistake for me was I didn't educate myself. I listened to people. I watched the fads. I jumped and tried everything instead of just sitting down and educating myself on the pathology of food, how it works in your body, how your body works, what builds muscle, what retains fat. Education is the most important thing, and it's funny, it's the one thing we don't get taught in school at all.
No, we don't at all. All right, let's get into this raw food. So when I hear raw food, and I don't know what you guys sitting at home or listening or watching are thinking, but when I hear raw food, I'm thinking a lot of salads, a lot of vegetables. Educate me. What is the raw food movement? What is the raw food diet? How is it personalized? How does it retain muscle? How does it help burn fat? All the things you just
my
brought.
God. I do hour-long lectures on
We're
this.
going to do it in
Taz.
20 minutes. Let's go. No. Just, those are some of my questions. I have a million, but let's start wherever you feel comfortable.
I lecture on this, so it's kind of, there's 4 things that happen to food when you cook it. cooking food is a chemical reaction. It's like putting a piece of wood in your fireplace and you light it on fire. It starts out as wood, and then through chemical reaction of heat, it becomes ash. And that's all the molecules changing. So one, the molecules in the food change, so your body doesn't read it the same. The bonds between vitamins and minerals break, so your body doesn't absorb the same. It doesn't. Do you remember when now they add calcium and vitamin D and magnesium. They mix it together to make your calcium because it doesn't absorb without vitamin D and magnesium. They didn't know that, so they were just giving calcium to women and nobody was getting a result. And then they went, oh, calcium is not recognized in the body without vitamin D and magnesium. It's that way with every vitamin, every mineral in your body. They're all intertwined, and heat breaks those bonds, so the body goes, hey, what's this, basically. Your food goes from an alkaline. So let's take something like a tomato, which is a 1 alkaline, which is almost acid, but it's just slightly alkaline. But you cook it, it becomes a 10 double crystalline oxalic acid. That's why we get such heartburn when we have spaghetti with tomato sauce, and then the enzymes are killed. And really what that means, enzymes are like, so it's like going to the bank every day and not putting anything in but taking money out. So if you're putting food into your body every day that's cooked, it has no enzymes, the molecular structure is all discombobulated, the vitamin mineral bonds are broken, and it's really hard to absorb. That means you're putting food into your body that your body has to make its own vitamins and minerals, pulling from everywhere to make that enzyme to digest this basically bankrupt food. And if you keep doing that, it's like going to the bank every single day, taking money out, never putting money in. At one point or another, depending on how much reserve you have, you're going to go bankrupt. And that's basically the bottom line of raw food. I don't eat 100% raw food. I don't. Nobody can be 100% of anything. And if they tell you they're 100%, the only thing they are is 100% lying. Exactly. I know what I binge on. Hockey games,
Wait, what
Popcorn.
do you binge on? Popcorn?
At hockey games.
You're a popcorn girl, too?
I am a popcorn girl at hockey games.
Too. Anyhow.
But I take an enzyme before I do it, so I don't draw my own enzymes out.
Okay.
When you understand, what the body is and what food does in the body, you can learn to counteract some of those things that you do. So it's really important to educate yourself. And so what is raw food? Well, it's just about everything. I mean, anything that you eat cooked, I can find you raw, including tiramisu. Yeah,
Wait,
I know. Look at her face.
I'm sitting here going, is tiramisu not raw? So
tiramisu is not raw when you get it. It's made of lady fingers, which is like a vanilla wafer cookie, and it's made with pasteurized, all kinds of creams and what have you. I can find it for you completely raw. And in fact, when I first brought it to my mother's house, my mom was like, oh, don't bring your raw stuff, please. Raw, like everything, has really come up in how it tastes and the presentation of it through the 30 or 40 years that I've been doing this. So I found this, amazing little place. It's in New York City called Rawsome Treats. And the girl was an MMA fighter.
Oh,
got
my
gosh.
Book. Wow. Okay.
Got my book. Her name is Watts. And she got my book. And Watts, when I first called, she goes, okay, give me your name. I said, Carol Alt. She goes, no, wait, you're not Carol Alt from eating in the raw.
Like, stop playing a prank on me right now.
She's like, oh my gosh, it was your book. And, I was trying to suck weight and you helped me so much. But the food was terrible. So I, and I make a lot of my own stuff. Every morning, my own fabulous muffins.
So, okay. So define this out. What makes your muffin raw? What makes your tiramisu raw? What is a raw protein source? Well, everything is practically protein. I mean, legumes like lentils or chickpeas or kidney beans, when they're not cooked, when they're not soft, when they're hard like marbles, that's in its raw state. You drop it in water, you let it soak for 12 hours. It's just about sprouting. The little tail comes out. That's sprouting. That's germinating. It's really simple. Just drop it in water and walk away. That is all protein heavy. When you cook it, it goes the other way. It becomes carbo heavy. So basically people are thinking they're eating legumes for protein.
Are right. They're not, unless they've germinated them, But also a lot of vegetables, broccoli, all these vegetables in the raw state are pretty much protein heavy. They have a lot of protein in them. So, but I also eat fish. I'm not vegan.
Right.
Because my ancestry is German, man.
Right. So that's what goes on in a lot of people's brain, right? You're raw, you're vegan. That's not true.
No.
Okay.
You can be vegan. You can be raw. You could be gluten-free. You could be any version of any which way. You can, be a fish person. I have friends who are fruitarians. They only eat fruit. I had one who was a breatharian. Don't even go there. You don't even want to go there.
Oh my God.
You don't want to go there what he drinks.
Okay. Breatharian.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it ain't white.
Okay.
No, I mean, there's I call myself an extreme alternative, but
Right.
I'm not that extreme.
Right.
But there's so many versions of what you can do, and there are many raw foodies who are also vegan. I am not. My ancestry is Scottish and French and German, and we're all meat eaters. So I tend to eat meat, or not meat, more fish. 3 times a week.
But you eat raw fish.
Raw fish.
And so how do you
carpaccio
okay.
or seared salmon. I drop it into my salads. Tartars.
Yeah,
I love tartars.
yes.
And you could do tartare with all kinds of things. You could do it with beef, and you could do it with fish. Don't try it with chicken.
Yeah.
I avoid chicken. It's too much hormones for me. But,
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many things you can do, but there's also amazing desserts. I make my muffins. They've got 4 ingredients.
What are they?
They're raw almond flour, which I can make or I can order online. It has figs. It has lemon with sometimes a little vanilla, and raw chocolate chips.
You just mix it together.
I mix it together and throw it in the dehydrator. Walk away, come back 5 or 6 hours later. Sometimes longer. Sometimes I like them really moist. It depends on what my guests like too. Some people like really crunchy stuff and dry stuff, and other people like really moist. So it just depends on how long I leave it in a dehydrator.
Do you eat like the meats, like beef or lamb or any of those guys, or no?
I occasionally eat beef.
Okay.
But carpaccio,
But again, a
or
carpaccio
tartare,
style.
right?
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
Tartare or carpaccio. Mostly, I like fish. I was never really liked beef, and I don't like the way we treat our animals. It's
Right.
really hard for me.
Right.
I work with the Washington Heights Cat Sanctuary. We rescue animals. I support them, so it really is hard. And it's hard being in the fashion industry because there's fur on everything.
Right. Yeah.
We can't avoid it completely, but I really advocate more humane treatment for sure.
So I'm going to flip this on you for just a
Sure.
second. So many systems of medicine, including conventional Western medicine, Ayurveda is one, Chinese medicine is another one that I can think of very quickly, talk about the burden of raw food on the gut, that the gut, has trouble with this. What you're saying is, very different from that. Explain that disconnect for me a little bit.
Okay, well, I understand as people get older, like we talked about before,
Right.
they're the accumulation of everything they've done to their bodies. So if you're constantly eating cooked food and it's constantly drawing out of your reserves, your hydrochloric acid and your enzymes in your stomach are going to get weaker and weaker. So I can understand as people get older, they don't advocate eating a lot of raw food because it's harder to digest. In my case, what I did, because I had terrible digestion, I started with a lot of green powder and juices and juicing, because juicing is the fastest way I know to renutrition the body.
Yes.
And I'm
Yeah,
not talking
I
about
agree.
apple juice
Right.
and pear juice. I'm
Right.
talking about the heavy duty greens, kelp and not just cucumber alone. I don't get that. I mean, you
Right.
can't change the entire body with one vegetable.
Right.
You need a wide variety of everything. Put the peppers in there. I have a Seventh Heaven soup that a friend of mine gave me the recipe for. It's in one of my books. It is so delicious, and it's basically all it is you throw all these things, all these vegetables into a blender and blend it, and it's so good, and it's so good for you. When people come to me and they say, "Oh, I have this kind of issue or that kind of issue," I say, "Listen, first of all, I don't advocate talking against your doctors,
Right.
but to supplement whatever it is else that you are doing, if you've got any kind of inflammatory issue, I'm talking about cancer
Right.
or
Autoimmune disease.
Well, more like arthritis,
Yeah.
or all of these, aging.
Right.
I consider aging a disease. It's the body breaking down. And if we can rebuild and give the body what it needs, the body is so freaking brilliant.
It's amazing.
I mean, the universe
It's amazing.
knows what it's doing. God, if you will, he knows what he's doing. And you give the body what it needs and you can rebuild yourself. And it just depends on how dedicated you are. For me, I was super duper dedicated.
Yeah.
But first because I fell. And I had to dig myself out of a hole.
Right.
But also because I was competing against those sucky little 20-year-olds who were stealing jobs from me. I was like, wait a minute.
You're showing them.
I was
You're
like,
still showing them. I don't even want to
wanted
ask you how old you are, but you look incredible.
I'm 64. You could Google it.
Oh, my
The only time I ever
gosh.
lied about my age by 2 years, when I walked away from the table, the guy turned to my manager and said, should I tell her I know that she's 34?
Oh, my
I'm like, so I
gosh.
said I was 30. I mean, come on.
I love
Never
it.
again lie about your age.
Love
And
it.
now not in the age of Google. I remember the first time somebody said, oh, we Googled you. I was like, I'm on Google.
I know.
That's so exciting. It was like, yippee-ki-yay. I'm
Well,
in
okay,
Google.
so 36, you go raw. You're trying to like get all these 20-year-olds out of your way. What is the first few things that you noticed?
Oh, my gosh. Listen, you want to get the best comeuppance of your whole entire life?
Yes.
Go raw for like 3 months and walk into your mom's house. Best thing that ever happened to me. My mom looked at me and she said, what have you done? And she didn't say Carol. She said Carol Ann. So I thought,
Which you know is serious.
What did I do?
The double
Yeah.
names come out.
Yeah,
It's
I know,
serious.
Carol Ann? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, you were starting to look mortal. I was like, wow, my mom thought I was immortal. And I was starting to look mortal. And now she thinks I look immortal again. This is kind of pretty cool.
Oh, wow. So probably glowing.
Well, your skin comes back, your energy comes back, that look in your eye.
Yeah.
You know what I
The
mean?
light.
Yeah. I realized I was walking down the street and people are laughing, smiling at me. And I'm like, do I have like broccoli on my face? Like, why are these people like looking at me and smiling? And I realized it's because I was like an idiot. I'm walking down the street with a smile on my face because
Yeah.
you feel so good.
You feel good.
You have so much energy. And for me, it was about paying it forward. My mom went raw. The minute she saw me, she said, okay, tell me what you did. And I told her. My boyfriend at the time, Alexei Yashin, he was 13 years younger than I was. I was 38. He was 25. And one day he came to me and he said, okay. He said, I Googled how old you are. Yeah, I know. Googled how old
And I'm
you are.
out.
No. He said, and I look at you and I look at other women and
Yeah.
I watch how you eat and can you explain this to me? Mm-hmm. And I explained it to him and he, boom. Like over, but he's that kind of Russian discipline,
Right,
which
right.
I'm that kind of German discipline
Right.
kind of thing. And I was shooting a series in Toronto. I got on an airplane with 1 day off and went over to help him because he called me and said, oh my gosh, I lost like 20 pounds. I'm dying. I'm like, what, why? What did you do? What did you do? He said, well, you told me if I did this. And I was like, oh my gosh, he went raw, not really like filling his house or educating
Right,
himself.
right.
So I went over there and I showed him. I'm like, look, I could sear you a steak.
Yeah.
You can get lots of fruit and vegetables. And that was back in a day when there was nothing raw on the market.
Right.
Now there's lots. I mean, they're
More
trying to
options.
hit every market.
Right,
So they're
of
going to have
course,
lots of raw
because
stuff.
everyone is so interested.
Yeah.
But to your point, though, okay, someone listening to us talk today is like, I want to try this. I want to go raw. How do they begin? Like, what
First
are the
thing, get rid of all the
pitfalls?
garbage in your house.
Garbage being like the processed stuff.
Yeah,
or-
get rid of all those habit-forming things that you have, like the crackers and the chips and the things like that.
popcorn.
Yep. If you don't have it around when you go through
That's
that
true.
moment. See, I find when I fall into those moments, it's because I didn't nutrition myself well enough.
So true.
So I didn't eat enough vegetables. I didn't eat enough meat. You know what? You can eat a raw tiramisu from Rawsome Treats, for example, and that could be your dinner. And it's more nutritious for you. What's in that is more nutritious for you than, having a plate of spaghetti or, ham dinner. I mean, because that stuff's all cooked and there's
Right.
nothing in it. It's devoid. It's taking out of your body instead of putting in. And here's this little cake with nuts and figs and coconut and all these amazing things that is feeding your body. And by the way, feeding your skin, hair, and nails.
Right.
Because the body works on a hierarchy. Okay? So the first thing it does when it gets any little morsel of food that it could use, it has to rebuild. It has to rebuild your muscle and your organs and the ligaments that hold things. I mean, it goes for the really important things. The most important thing it goes for is making enzymes to digest more food, hoping to get something out of this food to rebuild your body. You know, if you don't give yourself enough of all of these things, by the time it comes to doing his skin and hair and nails,
It's done.
You're out of luck.
So interesting.
You run out of gas, as they say.
It's fascinating because, I stare at this, lab work all the time. And the thing I keep coming back to, even in our children, by the way, not just adults, is the lack of digestive enzymes. I talk about it over and over again. So many people are fat spilling, protein spilling. They're not breaking foods down. And then in the children, what it's looking like is a lot of the sensory stuff we're seeing, the lack of focus and all this, anxiety, all these other things. In adults, we're seeing the bloating,
well,
the weight
it's a lack
gain.
of nutrition because the body's not able to
absorb,
use all these things.
Correct,
and rebuild itself.
It's
and
so interesting.
And, if you understand this outside of a lab, okay, if you understand this in terms of the body, then you understand that when you take in fats that have been cooked, the body goes, oh, look at this. I have a truckload size of something.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a fat. Well, let me pull all these enzymes and minerals and everything from my body and digest this. Oh, wait, now that it's digested, it kind of looks like fat. If I put these together over here, I got a Volkswagen size of fat. Let me make some more enzymes to digest that so I can utilize it. What do you do with the rest of those pieces from that giant truck that are not useful because they're all broken up and the body can't figure out what to do with it? They store it in the adipose tissue. So now your adipose tissue is absorbing this fat, and on men it's the belly, on women it's the butt and the thighs.
Yep.
Right? That fat thigh feeling.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That's where it comes from.
My story.
Right.
Anyhow.
But what people don't understand about cold pressed oils and fats that's so fascinating, and this as a clinician,
right,
is that it can do a preferential exchange. So if you're eating good fats, it can do a preferential exchange of old fats out of the adipose tissue.
Fascinating.
And slim you down. So all these thoughts that we have about fat being fattening, not so true.
Not so true.
And Udo Erasmus wrote the best book on this, and he does Udo's Choice Oil, which is one of my oils of choice.
I love those oils. Those are great oils. Yes.
And his daughter Usa is a very good friend of mine.
Oh, really?
I'm godmother to her son.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I know a good thing when I find it. I got right into that family. I was like right there.
Smart woman, obviously.
I know where my oils are boiled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So you're starting out. You said get rid of the processed stuff first and all the junky stuff. Next, where would you go next?
What I would do is I would get all kinds of vegetables in a juicer.
Okay.
So that I make sure I get my juices fresh, not pasteurized. It's completely different when it's pasteurized. 212 degrees Fahrenheit at 12 hours kills any enzymes as well as any bacteria. And then I would test stuff. And if you've got children, take your children with you. Test all these raw things. Test the raw pickles as opposed to the cooked pickles. Make things. On my Instagram at Model Carol Alt.
Love it.
I
follow now.
Yes, Model Carol Alt. I did during COVID. I did 200 recipes.
Wow.
And it's so great to get your kids involved. Instead of saying, here, you have to eat this, it's raw, say, what tastes good to you?
Right.
What do you like? Do you like corn? Let's try some corn. Let's make this radish out of corn, or relish out of corn. Oh, do you like guacamole? By the way, do you know you can take an avocado, add some Zint raw chocolate, and by the way, I don't get paid for any of these advertisements here. This is out of the goodness of my heart. I'm giving you this info because then you all order it and I can't get it, right?
Yes.
Then I can't get it when I need it.
Right.
But Zint does a regular chocolate and a raw chocolate powder. Put that into your avocado with a little bit of honey, and you got the most outrageous mousse. Just don't tell anybody what it is until after they eat it, because in their brain they go, oh, avocado.
Right.
And I know because I was one of those people.
Oh my gosh,
I was like, I can't think of avocado as anything but guacamole.
So when you're juicing these vegetables, you're running it through a juicer. You're not retaining the pulp or anything like that.
Nope. because you're talking about these Ayurvedics and all these other disciplines who probably could be right that we're having trouble digesting stuff. So you don't want the pulp. You want the nutrition.
You just wanted to go straight to the cell.
You want the nutrition, which is why you don't want to do it with fruit juices, because it's too much sugar too fast for the body, and then you get an insulin reaction. But no, you want the vegetables, and you want to juice. I juiced for 3 months every day. 3 times a day. Kamikaze, these little, Greens Plus, and Garden of Eden has them. I think even Elle McPherson has one. Elle, you owe me one. Has these green powders.
Right.
And I was kamikaze them 3 times a day. And then finally my doctor came to me and said, okay, you're ready for a 7-day fast. And I almost, I fought and screamed and spit at him and kicked and pulled his hair.
He was nutrient optimizing you.
Yep.
Then the fast. And why did he want you to fast?
Because he wanted to start cutting toxins out of my body.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Day 5 of a fast. Now, first of all, you never should go into a fast
straight. I say that all the time.
You always have to wind down off of food. I did a lot of psyllium and green powders for 7 days. By day 5, you're cutting into the liver. I mean, you speak to anybody on day 5 of a fast, and they're really nasty. And you're like, oh, day 5, huh?
Yeah.
It is. That's the way the body works. And I remember driving up and down Santa Monica Boulevard, and they had a Boston chicken. And I was like, I just need to smell the chicken. I need chicken. I'm like, oh. I was like a junkie. And I called up Dr. Brantley, and I said, Timothy, what is this? I just want chicken. I just anything with I'll just lick my fingers. I just need chicken. And he said,
day 5.
Because you're cutting into the toxins in your body. And when you're blocked to get that stuff out, it spins around in your blood system and it goes to your brain and it triggers a memory. That's where these cravings, when you're fasting, that's where they come from. And when your liver, which is really the only sewer system, it's really the only way to get the garbage out.
I call it the laundromat of the body.
I call it the sewer. It's the only way to get
sewer might be stronger, but
but it is. I mean, what comes out? Everything that goes into the sewer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Starts here. So, you want to keep that as clean as possible so it doesn't kick the toxins back out into your blood and spin it around and give you a craving for all that nasty, horrible stuff.
I love the idea of vegetable juicing. If someone wants to do this in an intermediate way, could they start to take their meats and to take some of their stuff?
Yeah, start searing things.
I was going to say, instead of full out grilling, just sear it or
Dr. Taz, you're right, because I go for more I get people can eat a fish and they'll understand that, a seared fish is raw inside. They'll get that. What they don't get is all the other stuff. How do I get my dessert? How do I get, I'm sitting down at TV. I want something to nosh on. I get raw nuts. Like I said, I did.
Wait. What's a raw nut versus a regular nut?
Oh, well, when they roast them, when they roast them. Well, nuts is all nut oils.
Right.
So if you're roasting them, you're cooking oils. Now you got to digest it. Now you got to make the enzymes. Now, you know what I mean?
The whole thing again.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So, just decide. I get a whole mixture of nuts. I drop raisins and cranberries in it, and I mix it all up. Sometimes I put dark chocolate chips in it, and you make a trail mix. I mean, it's so easy.
Sounds so easy.
Yeah, you put it in a bowl and you can eat that while you're watching television, or if you have friends over. You could do a whole crudité with all kinds of, I did in one of my books, I think I had 15 or 20 different sauces for dipping in. I mean, it's out there. The information is out there. It's so much easier than when I started. When I started, there was zero. I had to make everything.
From scratch. So bodybuilders are raw. Models can be raw. Who should not be raw?
Anybody who is more alkaline. And, I always said, my boyfriend, he was pretty do-do-do-do, You know those people.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we'll get there when we get there. I mean, I wish I had a little of that.
I wish I had that too.
Yeah, I don't
so
have
nice.
that. But, if they're alkaline people, then, you don't need as much raw. But it's always good to have raw.
Do you test your acidity and alkalinity?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I used to do all the time.
How would you test it?
Now I can feel it.
You
get pH papers, and they sell them online now. I mean, I used to have to seek out a pharmacy that would have them and not mind selling them to me. And, you take between 8 and 10 in the morning, 2 and 4 in the afternoon, 8 and 10 at night, your saliva and your pee. Not around food, not around brushing your teeth, not around water. You take them clean and you write them down.
And track them.
And you can track them. So you really want to be optimal is supposed to be between 6'8" and 7'2". I was a 5'5".
Ooh.
I was so proud. I was like, look at this. I am blue. And Dr. Tim was like, that is not
That's
good.
not
I'm like,
great.
what do you mean? It's so pretty.
Yeah,
no.
that's not great.
You want to be yellow. And that yellow took me 25 years to do, 30 years to do.
Wow. And
Only recently did my doctor say to me, okay, you need to eat a little more cooked because you swung from way acid to way alkaline. And I could feel it because when you're really alkaline, you get kind of a little apathetic, a little depressed,
versus acidic.
Versus us.
Yeah.
Two crazy women running around the city trying to do podcasts.
Everything in the world. I love it.
Clinicians and actresses,
that.
all those crazy,
All those
A-type
crazy things.
personalities. Yeah.
Well, I want to bring you back. I took you back to 36, but I want to bring you back to now and how you noticed right around 60. And 60 is a really important age, by the way. I don't know if you saw the study that said there are two big transitional ages. 44 is one, and then 60 is the other one. So at 60, you started noticing changes. You had already been raw. What did you have to dial back into?
It wasn't that. What it really was is I noticed most of my girlfriends complaining about it. So I had girlfriends call me up saying, oh my gosh, I hit 60 and where'd my energy go? At 20, I didn't mind running downtown and filing this brief, but now it's like I'm 60. I don't want to be doing this. For me, my priorities changed a lot. I became way more spiritual. I became less, aggressive with stuff. I want to do things with people who are happy and fun and enjoying what they're doing. I don't want to waste my time with nasty, angry people anymore.
Right.
I mean, I spent my whole life around those kind of people. I just don't want to do it anymore. But I did notice a little on my skin, so I went, okay, what rebuilds skin? Oils. So I upped my oils. The doctor said, don't do any more raw because I was already swinging that way. So I just keep nutritioning.
So what type of oils do you like to use?
I love the Udo's Choice.
Right.
And I hand carry my cold pressed olive oils back from Italy.
You do. It's different. They're so why is it different?
First of all, I don't think the Italians are stupid enough to give us their first cold pressed. I think they
It is so different. Every time I go there, it's completely different.
I think airplane, pressure changes things. But also, I think that a lot of companies, and you got to be very careful. What I do is I take my olive oil, if I have to buy it here, if I've run out. I usually like Bragg's. They're usually pretty good, except they have it in a clear bottle. It should always be in a green bottle to block the sun. But I throw it in the refrigerator. And if after 3 or 4 days it doesn't get slush, like it doesn't solidify, not frozen, but then whatever oils rise to the top is the junk oil that they're cutting it with. So you always have to be careful with your olive oil and just don't open it, throw it in the refrigerator, and make sure that it all slushes.
Oh, that's a great hack. So put it in the refrigerator, keep it there for a few days, and whatever comes to the top.
Yeah, if anything, it shouldn't have anything. Olive oil should not be left in the refrigerator. I mean, you could freeze it and hold on to it.
Right.
But it's not an oil that needs to be refrigerated. You could leave it on your counter, as you know.
Right.
Udo's Choice has to be in the refrigerator, and it doesn't slush. So if they're cutting your olive oil with any kind of other oils, any seed oils or nut oils, they don't slush. So they'll rise to the top, and then you know that your olive oil has been cut with seeds or nuts.
Gotcha.
So
is olive oil your favorite oil?
Love it.
What about
I put it on my skin. I
love
put it.
olive
I mean,
oil.
I do my liver cleanses with it.
What's your take on like the saturated oils or the medium chain oils like coconut oil or ghee or beef tallow is trending right now? What's your take on all that stuff?
Like I said, the closer you can eat to God.
Yeah.
That's really what I look at. And I do like unrefined coconut oil. I used to drink an amazing drink that's in my first book, Eating in the Raw, with the green powders and
I think I read that book. I did.
like everybody in the
Yeah.
world read that book. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful because it was, not me.
What year was that?
It was 2005.
Yeah, I read that book. I
Yeah.
loved it.
I mean, I owed a big one for saving my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was this amazing drink with young coconut, and I mean, it was just so good. And then
Yeah.
one day, I just couldn't drink it anymore. I had just saturated to the point where I was good and moved on. And your body will tell you when all of a
Right.
sudden you go like, I can't even look at that green drink that I had 4 of yesterday. I can't even look at it.
So the oils are a beauty hack. What else?
Water.
Going raw, oils, water.
I use the only other way I could think of somebody, with any kind of inflammatory issues is, I always say Essentia because it's a 9.5. I have my own system where I make my own alkaline water.
Wait,
But,
how do you do that?
it's
We need to be in the kitchen for this. Why
Yeah.
are we in a studio? We need to be in the kitchen, like mixing things.
I
and
know, I
adding
know,
things.
I know.
So, anyhow.
Well, it's a machine. So we go,
Okay.
I filter my water and it's under the sink. So I don't have to carry bottles of
You don't
water.
have to do all that.
No,
Okay.
I call my girlfriends. I'm like, listen, for $2,000, you don't ever have to carry a bottle of water again. You can
Yeah.
just make your own water.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do it, if you're going to, if you can't do that and you can't afford that, because I understand what kind of, what
Right.
I get what the sign of the times are. Essential water is a 9.5. And that's alkaline.
Okay.
So, like we talked before, 5.5
Right.
or under 7.0 is more of the acidic, and 7.0 and up to 8.0 is more of the alkaline. So this is like a 9.5.
So when people are grabbing bottles of water, off the grocery store shelf or getting water at a restaurant, what's wrong with that water?
Well, usually it's in a plastic bottle. I always like to go for glass
number one,
bottles,
yeah.
which is usually why I carry my own.
Yeah.
I didn't carry it here. I see we got plastic bottles.
I
but,
know.
you got to live too.
Right.
The things that I'm talking about are not things that you have to I can't have water
100%,
because
right.
it's
Right.
it's what you do most of the time that gives the body its benefit or its detriment. It's what you do most of the time. So these are the things I aim for most of the time. And sometimes I'm a real jerk about it.
It's life. You're on the bus, you're off the bus sometimes.
Right.
Right.
I get into the restaurant. My girlfriend's like, okay, do you have your olive oil and your salt with you? I'm like, of course I do.
So you bring that to the restaurant?
I do.
Wait,
Carry
what
a bag anyway.
Wait, what are you doing with it? What are you doing with the olive oil? What are you
I
doing
know no matter what restaurant I go to with my olive oil and salt, I can eat.
with something?
Yeah, I can have a salad.
And you put it on top. Gotcha. Will you eat the bread at the restaurant? No. Do you make
And
bread?
I'm a bread eater.
Is there raw bread?
There's sprouted bread.
Okay.
Yeah, sprouted raw bread. Manna bread used to be raw. Ezekiel bread used to be raw. Now I call it like a bridge food. So it's got great ingredients, but in order to keep up with its popularity, they started cooking it instead of dehydrating it. But I make my own crackers, my own breads. I mean, it's everything you could. The dehydrator is the most amazing
It's
thing.
amazing.
Yeah, you
Try
can make
that.
anything. And my muffins, breakfast and dinner.
You do all of that.
Yeah, my friends are like, let's go out to dinner. I'm like, I have to have my muffin first.
Oh my gosh.
And that's another trick. I eat a muffin before I go out to dinner, so I make sure I don't overeat because they're so nutritiously dense that it fills you up.
So what I'm hearing from you, which is so fascinating to me as somebody who has to look at patients and labs and conditions and all this other stuff, right, is that it's really about optimizing your nutrition and optimizing it using raw foods because they have, probably ounce per ounce more nutrition than something cooked, and then bringing back in that fundamental principle of gut health where we're destroying our enzymes by eating so much cooked food. That's it in
a nutshell.
That's really the...
Why didn't you say at the top of the show we didn't have to sit here for so long?
It's so interesting. All right, we got to do...
Here's one more thing, okay?
Go.
Because you talked about people not being able to digest stuff, there's
Right.
plenty of digestive enzymes. And
True.
I still take them.
What's your favorite?
I get one from Claire Labs,
We have those
Claire
in our
Claire
practice.
Labs.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah.
But I also do so many enzymes. I had health issues, so I'm on a huge enzyme and supplement. And, I get my hair tested to make sure that I'm with the right supplements. I'm not crazy over daily, one a day daily vitamins because
I don't know how much of that people are absorbing.
That's part of it. Like
Yeah.
you might need vitamin D and I don't, but it's
Right.
in the pill, so I'm paying for it, but I'm not utilizing it.
Right.
So that's why but if you're not doing anything, it's better than nothing.
Correct. Yeah.
And but top of the line for me is the good water, doing your juices,
Good juices.
make your sear everything, or if you can have tartars or carpaccios. I mean, don't knock it until you tried it, because everybody go, raw fish, but it's so delicious, and there's so many ways you could cure it.
Yeah.
Get gravlax instead of smoked salmon, and they taste exactly the same.
So fascinating.
Open your brain, open your mind,
Open
expand the
up.
universe.
Well, it's kind of going back to the way we used to eat, right?
Closer you eat to God.
Closer we eat to God. You did bring something up, and I had in my
mind. Sorry, I keep
no.
digressing here.
No, this is fascinating to me. So you mentioned your ancestry and how they were meat eaters. How much of that do you think is playing into how people should eat? It doesn't sound like you did formal testing, like the blood type diet or this or that.
No,
or any of those
well,
type of
Price
things.
Waterhouse did a lot of that footwork for me. So he traveled around the world, and he found that when the Eskimos ate their fermented fish that they had left in the ice for months and came back and ate it, they were totally healthy, no cancer, no inflammatory disease, nothing, because that's what they were used to eating, that's what their bodies were used to digesting, and it was perfect. But the minute that we introduced our carbo-heavy diet with heavy grains and whatnot that were cooked and basically homogenized, and they got very sick. And then he traveled down to the rainforest where people were, a mile from a river and didn't even know the river was there because the Amazon jungle was so thick, and they were digging up tubular plants, and they could only eat plants. They couldn't have the fish that was fermented. They ate all vegetables. And the minute you introduced fish or grains to them, they became sick.
Yeah.
And so he traveled around the world looking at the different places and how they ate and the effect of modernization on all of these indigenous peoples and on all these different countries and all these different ethnicities. And he found that the closer you can eat to your ancestor. Now, the problem with that is that in like the 1950s, and I would say more like the 1950s, we started moving. We became less of a farming community where you drank the milk right from the cow and you made your own cheese and your own cream, and we moved to the cities, so we had to cook all these things to kill the enzymes so that they would last on the shelf of a supermarket until we bought it.
Right.
So our food changed. So when people say to me, but in the Bible they ate bread. Well, yeah. Hello, they didn't go through a dust bowl so that they made, a super seed that didn't, die in dust or with insects. Yes, you have to look at what happened between the Bible and now to our food. And we pasteurize and we hybrid and we genetically modify and we do all these things to our food. And I keep saying, the closer you eat to God. That doesn't mean hybrided or genetically modified. And it's getting harder and harder. I absolutely admit that. But I have a better edge than most of my compatriots because I'm aiming for that nutrition every day. I'm not aiming to go like, let's have, cigarettes and alcohol because I feel like it. And, I want to live my life. I'm like, I want to live a healthy life.
How do we, I call this show Whole Plus because I'm passionate about holistic medicine, but I talk about the merging of science and spirit. How do we tap into that spirituality in terms of, using it to choose what we put in our mouth?
It's always so crazy to me that when I slow down the monkey mind enough,
stops. Yeah.
You usually end up aiming differently. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Like, I know what's right for me, but sometimes you're tired or you're hungry and you aim for the wrong stuff because you're listening to your mind, your stomach, and you're not thinking. So you have to slow down enough to think what's right. And that's what you aim for. I mean, spirituality was something that came to me the more clean I got. And I'm not talking religion.
Many people say that, though. I've heard that many times before.
Yeah, because, when so much is going on with the body, it's like you get too many mixed signals, I think. I mean, this is all my own personal opinion, but hey, I look damn good for 90, so I figure that these things really work, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I want everybody to look this good at 90.
Well, speaking of looking good, we've talked about water and oils and vegetable juicing.
And digestive enzymes.
So that's a lot.
And
Everyone can run with that. And then you can look like this. So I wish it was that simple. But, all joking aside, what are your favorite beauty treatments, beauty products that you can't live without? You don't have to give us the whole thing, but you do look amazing.
Yeah. Water and oil.
Water and oil. Is there anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
Water and oil, guys. You heard it from her.
Yeah,
I mean, it is beauty from the inside out, right? At the end of the day, I think that how we take care of ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, how we live our lives.
But you got to remember one thing.
Anything
Anything you put on your skin gets absorbed into the skin. So you want to read it. I have other products I use.
Right.
I'm very careful about reading ingredients.
So watching the toxic load and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
What's next for you?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm still doing the same old. I have 2 movies that I start one at the end of May, and I have another one tentatively slated for September. So
no slowing down.
I hope not. That's why I eat.
That's why we eat raw to
keep up with my energy.
What about books or any other books coming out?
I wrote 5 books on health and nutrition. 2 were, fiction, but I think I said all I need to say.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to pay it forward. That's why I accepted your invitation here. I'm just trying to pay it forward because I had some really amazing people who helped me in my time of desperation and need. And don't let anybody fool you.
Yeah.
Everybody has those dark days.
Yeah.
It's not
Absolutely.
easy down here for anybody.
What would you say to young people today? What's one piece of advice? Maybe young girls, maybe people in the modeling industry. We've had others.
You're not
on
a
the
sheep.
show.
Don't follow the pack.
Ooh, like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, don't follow the pack. Everybody runs for quick fixes. There's no quick fix. You want to look good in your olden days. I thought it'd be really great to have an app that tells you what you would look like if you were, here you are at 15, if you drink.
Oh my God!
If you smoke,
do that, I would hand that out.
If you eat healthy,
that would motivate everybody.
Well, because I always wonder, you see some of these people, and you go like, "Wow, if their 15-year-old self could look at them now."
Right.
You're trying to be so cool in high school, and then you allow this to happen.
I hope everybody hears that. I think that is so important.
I think that's a lot of hubris on my part. I think, but I just want everybody to feel good and everybody to be happy because it would make for a much happier world, and I'd be much happier walking out my front door. So it's a really selfish motivation
at the end of it.
At the end of the
day,
and they'll treat their animals better, which is really my motivation.
Oh, I love that. Well, I'm going to leave you with one final question.
Okay.
What makes you whole?
Oh my gosh, so many things make me whole. I have a great teaching Bible. Can't start my day without reading it. It's just fantastic. It really puts things in perspective. And it sends me a thing
reminder.
to start the day. Like, here's today's thought. Love that. My animals.
How many do you have?
I have two little rescue cats. One with one eye who, you got to look at something like that and say, like, she just is the sweet. And it took me a really long time, but how they bounce back is just incredible. Great food, good friends, but the top of the list is I think, I've been blessed with a really great family. I have 2 fabulous sisters. My mom, forget it, 93 years old, still working in the library. She hates when I say that, sorry, Mom. But she still works in the library. I mean, it's only great that she's working in the library because she's 93.
Yeah.
She's still working. She bought herself a Mercedes on her 90th birthday.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, that's my inspiration.
I love it. Well, you're an inspiration to so many of us. So thank you for being
Well,
here today.
that's
I
a
appreciate
high compliment
it.
coming from you. Thank you.
I so appreciate it. And I hope for everybody watching and listening that you've been inspired and motivated. We have woven together so many themes.
I know you have to watch this show again.
You really
and it's Model
do.
Carol. No, I'm just kidding.
I love her. I love her. But
Just kidding.
The science of food, the spirituality of food, how they come together, so much. You guys have to watch
It
this
comes
episode.
together in you.
Yes. And you are unique.
Comes
and you have
together
to know
in
you.
you.
You have to
Yes.
know you. So thank you again.